OKRs aren't a problem, leaders are. OKRs are Google's secret weapon. It's really interesting. I think a lot of it comes down to the culture and the leadership. Um, OKRs are a tool, they're a framework. It's actually really, really simple. As you said, there's two parts to it, an objective and a key result. It is, can we write down, this is the goal we are trying to achieve, this is the outcome we want to reach, and can we write down a few measures, a few key results that will tell us if we are making progress towards our goal. That's all there is to it. For some reason, we in companies and society have this tendency to overcomplicate things. We invent rules, we add bits onto it, we rethink definitions, and suddenly I think some leaderships try to turn OKRs into something that they're not. They treat them a little bit like a silver bullet for their organization. They think they're going to be the cure to everything. We just need to use OKRs because that's what Google did. The founders of Google look at OKRs and they say Google 10x their growth many, many times over. Mm-hmm. And they don't say OKRs were responsible. They just think OKRs were a tool that helped them get there. Because I think there are a few really good hygiene factors in how to use OKRs, and there are a lot of bad hygiene factors that organizations and leaders use. I think that's why they fail in a lot of companies, and they kind of lose what they're really about, which is just let's give focus and clarity on what we're trying to do and how we're going to measure progress towards it. And we kind of lose track of that.
Yeah.
I think that they when they write objectives, they aren't delegated down from the leadership. It is a very collaborative exercise. It's a ritual that the people that are going to be involved in executing the strategy help write it. Mm-hmm. And it's very collaborative, it's very energetic when it comes to writing the objectives. And if you were to go to any team and ask them, what are your current objectives this quarter? They could tell you like that. Now, the good hygiene that's allowed for that to happen is they've kept it simple. It hasn't been big, long strategic sentences of very complex words and acronyms. It has been 3, 4, 5 really powerful words that people feel passionate about. They think, yeah, that's why we exist. That's why we get up in the morning. We're coming to achieve that goal. That's our objective this quarter, and they're proud of that. And I think so. There's a lot of good hygiene in writing the objectives, the process of doing them, but also writing good quality ones that are memorable and inspiring and purposeful and connected to the strategy.
Hey, by the way, if you're watching this and you're wondering, how does this apply to my business? Just drop a note, a comment in the comments, and I'll get back to you.
And then when it comes to the measures, it is really getting an alignment, a shared understanding on, well, how are we going to know if we've met that objective? And what are the 3 or 4 or 5 little needles, these little measures, that if we can get all 5 of them moving, we all agree that we've met our objective. And there's no doubt, there's no ambiguity, there's no, well, have you or have you not? So really good hygiene will be where we just feel, yeah, now I really understand how progress is going to be measured. And we're ready to go and execute on that. And we're ready to start moving those needles. So that's what I mean by good hygiene. Really well thought out and taking time to write the right objectives on a really good set of measures. If you've had, some manager in a closed room somewhere that's decided to write all of everyone's OKRs and then just delegated them out, and people don't understand them, they maybe don't believe in them, they couldn't recite them, the measures aren't really measures, you haven't even started to deliver against them yet, and already, because of that bad hygiene, it's just smells, and why do we have to work with these?
Yeah, gives people the ick.
Yeah, it does. I do see people roll their eyes. Oh God, OKRs. Oh, yeah, when I get these things, I don't understand, and they're going to beat me up if I don't reach my OKRs, and it's just all got off to a really bad start if we don't have that good hygiene in place.
Yeah.
If you put yourself in the shoes of a very, very senior manager, probably under huge pressure, probably got all sorts of stakeholders and Maybe there's owners of the company or shareholders or the stock market, and all they want is performance, high performance, and usually monetary money it comes back to. So there's a lot of pressure on the shoulders for these people. And they often, those leaders, have got a strategy in their head. They've got this vision. They understand what this is about, and they think, right, it's really clear in my head. I just need to get my organization doing all the right things. And I think that the mistake they make, they think, right, if I write down these OKRs, it's like, I just get them out of my head and I put them into the spreadsheet, then they've just got to, it's simple, they just got to go and execute against them. And I think it's, and we talk about OKRs being a communications tool. So they think, well, if I just write down and then I assign the OKRs to different people, then they'll make it happen and it'll work. But of course, communication doesn't work that way. Communication's two ways.
Especially internal communication.
Especially internal.
You've got to say it multiple times right. And there's a whole other piece of the puzzle where you've actually got to get people to buy into your vision.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what you're saying is one of the benefits of OKRs is it forces you to get everyone into one room, buy into that vision, develop that vision together.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's quite powerful, isn't it? From like a culture perspective.
Yeah. I mean, think about communication. It's not one way. Communication is back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And every time it goes back, our understanding, our clarity, just gets that little bit better. So great leaders really encourage an environment where their teams are having conversations with them, with each other, with other stakeholders. They're learning and they're clarifying and they're confirming what the real objectives that matter to them are and how that fits into the strategy. And there's a lot of conversation around doing that. So there's a lot to be said, and this is back to the hygiene, about getting the people in the room and really devoting time so that the manager or the management or leave that room thinking they really get it. They really understand. That is a lot more, for me, that's a lot more satisfying when I think everyone is they really understand, that they get it, and they're motivated, they're passionate by it. That's much better than I wrote this down and I sent it over an email. And some managers think, oh, well, I've sent it, therefore it should just download into people's brains and they know it. It just doesn't work like that. It's like a training course. People think, oh, just present the slides and suddenly everybody will know the slide. It doesn't. It's behavioural change, it's a mindset change, it's a continuous learning journey. And the thing that underpins it all is communication, and a lot of communication.
Yeah. When have you seen OKRs used well?
I have seen them work well when teams stick at it. I have never seen a set of OKRs work really, really well by a brand new team using OKRs for the first time. When I first used OKRs at a previous company, and it didn't work well at all. It was, I will say, I now know, having learned from other people, including my co-founder who came from Google, I now know all of the mistakes that we were making. But we had to make those mistakes. We had to learn. We had to iterate. I think where I see teams that will write some OKRs, give them a go, get to the end of that first quarter, realise, yeah, they worked all right, but we could be better next quarter. Next quarter, they're better, and we're suddenly starting to think, oh, okay, yeah, these OKRs could be helpful. The third, it's always the third for me, if we stick at it for 3 iterations, then I find teams and organisations really, really get the benefit of them, because they adapt, they learn, they look back at their first set of OKRs and think, they weren't very good, were they? But you couldn't possibly have known that then. You've got to learn as you go along. You've got to learn by doing, you've got to learn by trying, you've got to see whether needles move, you've got to then figure out where they're the right OKRs or not. So I think organisations and teams that stick with it and iterate and build in learning to the way of working really helps. I think teams that have got coaching and help and support and facilitation, especially those writing them, I said get into a room, we'll get a really good facilitator to help get that conversation right. Maybe get a little bit of help, as you're going on, just to keep you within the guardrails. I think there's lots of different ways you can do that. So I think, organisations that stick with it and accept help from others are the ones that succeed the most.
Yeah, so you got to be in it for the long haul, and you've almost got to have someone who's like your guru, kind of taking you through it just for those first 3 cycles. And then hopefully you're enabled enough. You've learned the rules and the regs, and you can kind of carry on and keep your team moving along that trajectory.
And if you're in a larger organisation and you've got several teams, you might find 1 or 2 of them really, it clicks with them a bit earlier, clicks with everyone at different points. But then they can become the seed, the advocates, the go-to people. So there can be sharing between teams, and you can go and see how other teams are checking in on their OKRs and how they're adapting their behaviours based on what they're learning. So it can be a real learning ecosystem from each other. It doesn't have to be an external person. But finding those people, helping people find their feet, and then once they do, having those people help other people find their feet. That's set up for success.
Hey, I'm Tim. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Stellafai. And if you enjoyed this content, you should watch the next video.